Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take another look here at Bitcoin, see kind of what's going on, of course, help understand best practice, big picture, and obviously happy Tuesday to you and your family. And what we're going to do, of course, is take a look at the overextension we have to the downside, because it is unlike Bitcoin, at least less common like Bitcoin, for it to have retraced this far, but we're also kind of expecting this support level here about 19,800 to hold. So there's a handful of things that are actually positive. We'll cover that and much more, of course. But that being said, we're not a financial advisor. Keep that in mind. I love teaching people to trade, however, and I do want to make sure that you learn as much as you possibly can. And if you want to learn a lot more, feel free to attend my trading academy. I have a community as well where we all learn and grow together. We have roundtable discussions. It's really awesome. We actually have one later here today. But furthermore, I send out signals for every single trade that I take, and we're still racking up the wins on the shorts recently. Granted, we opened a long position yesterday that is still at break even, but at this point, it's actually looking like it should reverse here, and I'll explain what I mean by that here in a moment. So, taking a look, of course, at the daily, and we're not going to bother with the monthly or the weekly at this point because I've kind of like to drive that home frequently and help you understand that obviously we're in this descending type of trend. There's no change there. The macro still looks bearish. We need to acknowledge the fact that we could very well see, according to the 4-year cycle, somewhere in the range of just say, 10 to 14,000. That is a possibility. Is it 100% likelihood? No, of course not. There's no guarantees, but it would make sense if that happened. Is it going to happen right now? Well, it's hard to say specifically, but the truth right now of the matter is that we are still making higher lows. So until we close below 19,200, I don't think we should worry too much about the fact that we are on a downtrend just yet. We should, and likely could, retest the levels of 23,000, 24,000 in the relative near future, and I think that's still a probability. Okay, again, just based on the overall sense of things and where we're at, because again, a trend will only break itself if it has to, right? A trend commonly will continue until it doesn't. I know it seems very redundant, of course, but if you kind of draw this line out here, you can kind of see that we are still above this ascending trend, albeit a very slow trend. Okay, so just keep that in mind. The thing to also recognize as well, we have a key level resistance about 21,700 here based on Fibonacci, as well as just a resistance shelf that we saw for those double doji candles before we saw this reversal to the downside. Okay, so again, that's generally where we're at there. The state of the nation isn't terrible, but it's not great. That's kind of the normal thought process right now, right? That's kind of where we got to train ourselves to be, is that, okay, hey, we may not be in a great position, but it could be a lot worse. And we want to prepare ourselves for the worst, but also hope for the best, okay? Again, a lot of different schools of thought there, but generally speaking, we are still in an overall downtrend. But 19,800 is tentatively holding. So a close today above 19,800 to me would be very important, especially if we can close, with this type of candlestick pattern. In other words, when you see a candlestick closing close to its open, essentially they refer to that as I think it's a dragonfly doji, then you can effectively anticipate the price action, increasing from there, because in that 24-hour period, the price came all the way down and back up to where it started. And that's a good sign, ultimately. So again, we close at 19.8 or higher, I think we're going to be in pretty decent shape to see the price hammer on up and continue higher. Again, good candlestick. I like that. Again, it's a little premature and early right now. It's only 10 a.m. here in Pacific Standard Time. So ultimately, it's one of those situations where we kind of wait it out and wait for the candlestick to close. So I think it's important in a lot of cases to wait and remain patient. Oftentimes, I think at this point, patience is key. We want to make sure to do that. But either way, we're underneath 50 and over 30 on the RSI, kind of standard stuff. We talked about this previously, that we've literally been under 50 on the RSI since April. So again, we're looking at 3 months solid of this downtrend. Coincidentally, we have 3 red months that closed April, May, and June. So no surprise. Is this month going to be a green month? I still think it will be, but it's too early to tell. Obviously, we're only 12 days in. So again, just some things to think about. Let's take a look at the 4-hour and kind of see what's going on here, of course. And this is where things kind of get interesting to me, because if I was looking at Bitcoin's history here and how often we go into extreme overtime for not only the 4-hour, but also the hourly. The hourly is more common, of course, because trends do happen for 24 to 48-hour time frames. But when you think about this, we hit a 9 on TD sequential on the 4-hour. So not only are we about 36 hours into this continuation pattern, we also have this extra, we had a little bit of consolidation here, but it wasn't truly enough to get a full-on reset. So we're now still in this overtime type of situation. In other words, this doesn't happen very often. I think I counted maybe 2 times this happened this year so far. The most recent one was when we dropped from 30,000 to 20,000. That was a significant one there. Not saying we're going to drop significantly here, but it kind of has that same feeling, I guess you could say. Good news is the price is holding really good at this support level here at 19,800, and that's something to celebrate. So again, just kind of something to think about, to acknowledge. We're underneath all moving averages as well, so by no means are we in a bullish type of situation. And I bet if we were to look at the Ichimoku cloud, it'll probably tell us a very similar story, to effectively probably consider closing our short positions, but still leave them open. Okay, so we'll look at that here in a moment as well. See here where we're at. We bounced off of 30 on the RSI, which is nice. Even though we had some room for downside yesterday, it did come down to retest that level, and it's holding. So that's another positive sign. 30 on the RSI on the 4-hour is commonly a very strong support level, such as 70 on the RSI for resistance. So if you kind of think about that, we came down to bounce off that support level. There is a strong potential, or stronger potential, of a MACD convergence here in the relative near future. Again, a closure over 19,800 today would lead us there. It would get us to that point. So that's essentially what we're looking at there for the 4-hour. I would say the 4-hour looks more optimistic because we're overextended. We've bounced off 30 on the RSI, and those are all things kind of letting us know that further downside is less likely. Okay. Again, still a possibility. You can never rule it out based on how crazy cryptocurrency can be, but for the most part, we shouldn't expect to see further downside based on like the traditional laws of trading. We should expect the price to recover from here. We're also honoring this ascending trend. I know it seems crazy if you look at the 4 or the 1 hour because it's all below, but according to the 1-day candlestick closures, this trend line here, this ascending trend, we're still staying above that. Okay, and that's a good sign as well. So mostly positive there in that sense. Let's take a look at the cloud. I'm sure it's going to tell us the same narrative that we're already familiar with. And yesterday when I reviewed this, we are right at this point here, considering closing our short position and opening a long. Now, of course, we're in a very similar situation. So again, wait for confirmation. Again, another that would be 4 to 6 hours. That puts us really close to the closure here today. So I'd say waiting for the candlestick closure today to close 19,800 or higher would be appropriate, because what that would do is that would intersect the lagging span with the price action, effectively telling us that if we have a short position, we should have closed it by now. And then, of course, in turn, wait for a long position, right? And I say wait just in general because obviously if you're in the trade that we took yesterday, hold that. We had a nice average down. We're at like 20,100 if I'm not mistaken. So it's really easy to get past that point and hit our profit target still. But if you're considering opening a long position, I would just say wait for confirmation. And in most cases, is waiting for the price to be back above the cloud as probably the first firm indicator to take a long. Again, this is extremely conservative. You don't have to do this, but in general, that's essentially what it's telling us here. Let's go ahead and see if there's anything else on TD Sequential that tells us that we're at anything of overextension. Once again, we were right in this range yesterday when I covered this, expecting the price to recover. It did go lower, and if we see here, we hit a 7. So it came down to a 7 and reset to a 5. So it's not going extreme in that sense, and we are holding pretty steady at this price point. So it does look like it wants to hold. And again, the 4-hour looks pretty good too in the sense of overextension, bounce off support levels. So even though we're under some key level resistances based on moving averages on the midterm, we are looking pretty good here for the hourly to help understand that we are looking at a potential increase from here. Again, confirmation to me is waiting for a candlestick closure above 19,800 on the 1-day to effectively give us that confidence to go long, okay, or at least more confidence. Granted, there could still be further downside. We don't know that yet. It's absolutely shaping up like it wants to continue lower, but this doji candle here is helping us kind of understand that, hey, if we can get a closure above 19.8, we can close with a dragonfly doji, hammer on up, and then the price should effectively continue to progress higher. Because again, we're still making higher lows, and we're technically making higher highs. This was not much of a higher high, but it was still higher, okay? So again, until that trend breaks, we got to anticipate it continuing to progress higher. And what it could very well do here is kind of just keep working itself into a wedge and effectively break to the upside eventually after it retests this level of 21,700. Okay, so 21.7 is essentially the area. That being said, I hope that this made sense, and obviously that's pretty much all we have to review. Not too much else. I will go ahead and cover a few other coins. I got a lot of requests for Burger and Sandbox recently, so I'll cover those too. But generally speaking, I do appreciate all the wonderful feedback, and thanks to some of my community members here recently for reaching out and letting me know how beneficial the Trading Academy has been for you. So thank you for that wonderful feedback. It's good to know it's making a difference and that you are learning and growing as a trader. Looking forward to working with you. If you're not currently a community member, CryptoCache.tech is a website, link in the description below. I offer discounts for military and third world countries. If you want questions regarding that or just in general, want to reach out, I always have an open door policy. Feel free to reach out. Just use the contact information in the comments below, because I will never direct message you or solicit you. Just keep that in mind. And I will never, be pinned by CryptoCache or WhatsApp app or WhatsApp. I don't even know what it's called. I'm never going to use that. Okay. I use Telegram primarily as my primary form of communication, as well as Discord. That's all in the comments below. All right. Thanks again. Hope you have a good rest of your day. We'll see you soon. Take care.